I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America.
Oh, boy.
From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board, and to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation. And we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Man.
In January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13
It's so obvious why there's more people trying to join the military now. It's so obvious.
American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Why? The real reason why, okay, you want to know the real reason why, is that people want, who is joining the military? Young guys that are mostly aggressive. Young, aggressive men. And so if you have, and poor guys in a lot of cases, yep, you're right, poor guys, and if they see somebody like Pete Hegseth, who's a young guy, comparatively, that works out, that's got a bunch of fucking tattoos of like the Crusades on him, that energy is what they want to follow. It's that simple. That's the kind of person that a young, aggressive guy wants to follow. There it is.
And tonight I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact,
members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Uh-oh.
Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America?
Yep.
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
He starts pointing at him.
There you go. President Trump gave a historic address on the House floor, longest speech ever for State of the Union.
That was crazy. Like, that went on for 2 hours. Like, I called my dad after he finished, and my dad, first thing he said is like, holy shit, is he done? That took a long time.
Union or an address to a joint session of Congress. I'm live for our nation's capital, and it is, I believe, we need a second source. It is Ash Wednesday. I'd like to take this time to say hello to my three anchors back in New York.
Thank you very much, Brian. If today's Ash Wednesday, that means yesterday was Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, and a big celebration in that big round white building behind you, Brian.
Since when did fat people get an identity day? Is this more of that woke bullshit?
Yesterday we were talking, how long do you think the speech is going to be?
Oh, my God.
I said, probably knowing Trump and the applause he's going to get, I said 100 minutes. I was off by one. It was 99 minutes. But here's the thing. It never lagged. And once again, Donald Trump has cemented his legacy, not only as the 45th and 47th president, but as a president who understands the television medium better than anybody who has ever held that post before.
I think he's right about that. The best example of this is that Trump literally almost got killed, like during the assassination attempt. There is a live active shooter shooting at him, and they clipped him. They got his ear. And the first thing he does getting up is he fixes his hair. You can go back and you can look at it.
People were laughing, people were crying, there were highs and lows, and it was all about taking a victory lap so far and look ahead at a new golden age.
It was a missed opportunity yesterday. The president started the speech out saying, essentially, there's nothing I can do to please the Democrats. They won't unify, they won't do anything. And then he proceeds to tell these incredible stories, just things that aren't partisan at all, aren't political at all, just wins for the country, average day people, and they did not stand up. You look at the polling that came after this. CBS did a poll with YouGov. 76% agreed with removing the congressman. 76% approved of the speech. And if you go down the list of all the issues...
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's obvious that you should get rid of the guy that's sitting there fucking yelling and causing trouble. And I'd say that with Biden or anybody else. I mean, so you got somebody that's trying to do a speech, and you have one guy wilding out, yelling and shit like that. Like, it's fucking annoying. It's fucking annoying. It's disruptive. Like, it's like if we let that happen, then nobody would ever be able to give a speech again. Because there's always going to be something that somebody is mad about, and they're going to be yelling throughout the whole speech. You can't have it happen.
It comes to wasteful spending, immigration, Ukraine and Russia war. Over 70% of the country agree with what the president said during his speech.
Yeah, it was a great speech. And the president reminded the crowd that he's only been in office for 43 days. And he says we're just getting started. A lot of people in the chamber, the Republicans, chanting USA, USA, USA. When the Democrats started to heckle, their voices actually overpowered the Democratic voices. But he reminded everyone that the election was a mandate. He said we won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by big numbers.
Yeah, and there are people. I just want to bring this one up real quick. You've been following for just a few days. Would love to see what you have to say, or just keep glazing a guy who glazes Putin and blames Ukraine for being invaded. Guys, did I watch this or not? I did. I watched it. So we watched it live, like while it was happening. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're coming in here like just saying something that's not even true. I don't even know what to say. It's on the YouTube video too. Let me see if it is. Yep. There it is. So not only was it uploaded onto, not only did I watch it live, but I also uploaded it to my YouTube channel. You're literally just making up bullshit.
He said.
Took you 5 seconds to find it? Yeah, exactly. Found a retard, I know. I just want to, the reason why I bring people like that up is that there's been a lot of people recently, especially, that have been trying to paint me as like a very partisan person. And I just wanted to show that this is their evidence. Their evidence is something that literally didn't even happen.
270 to 525 to map out.
They're literally
that
fighting with ghosts.
Republican. And the Democrats were yelling, and the Republicans were saying USA,
it's
USA.
all there.
Yeah, it was the I was in the chamber, and I tell you, the story was really two countries. I mean, you could not have been more juvenile as a Democrat. All you could see from up top is the Democrats, 2 rows, basically mostly female, writing down different things on erasable boards, or deciding what circle sign to hold up. And then this other one congresswoman, while he was walking in, was holding a sign that said, "This is not normal." Then
I love how, like, the implication of that is that people want normal. If people wanted normal, they wouldn't have elected a reality TV star who said that he was going to nuke a hurricane, like take over Canada and build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. Like, this is not, you think they didn't want normal.
Texas congressman grabbed it out of her hand. And then to see this guy, Al Green, who, by the way, Sean Duffy, walked down the aisle, was Secretary of Transportation.
Was crazy.
He's talking to everyone. I don't know what he was talking. I can't wait to ask him what I was talking to Al Green about. They must have talked for 10 minutes. So all of a sudden, he just stands up and yells. And the weird thing was,
what normal means to them is normal is when everybody is collectively agreeing with you with no dissent. That's normal because that's what these people are used to, because that's what social media and I would say the internet conditioned them to expect. So for them, normal is being able to express their viewpoint, and anybody who dissents in any sort of a way that's not a accepted way is automatically deplatformed.
Yeah, the Sergeant of Arms goes to Nancy Pelosi first. Why are you checking with Nancy Pelosi? He's standing up, screaming at the President of the United States. Why are you there? Then he walks up, talks to him. He stops talking for a second, doesn't sit, and cuts yelling again. And it takes the speaker to get somebody else to come in and toss him out. And then they talk to Nancy Pelosi again. Did she approve of this behavior? Do you need her to sign off on this? I don't know. Was she asking, how's your new hip? So to me, if you were going to sit there and text and hold up signs, I almost rather you do what AOC did and just stay home.
Just don't come.
Live stream.
Some of them were on their phones. They were holding up those paddles that said false.
Embarrassing.
Someone had a whiteboard and they kept erasing and writing new messages on there in disagreement with
the whiteboard. In my opinion, the props and everything, it's just like, it's childish. Yeah, it's just so silly. The whiteboard was dumb. Yes. Imagine, like, because it's just like, it's the attention-seeking behavior. I'm surprised they didn't dress up. Well, some of them did. So now there's a problem with freedom of speech? Well, no. I think they can do it. Sure. I don't think they should be kicked out. I just think it's stupid. It's a gotcha. That is a gotcha. That's a perma. Yep, you're right. That's a good idea. Great point. Let's see if I can find him. Fuck. I think he might have gotten away. I have a feeling that somebody like that is going to make themselves known again. It's okay. We don't have to worry about it. Yeah, he got away. I know. I have to go check the VOD.
Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, ultimately, the Democrats, and there you can see the little round signs Brian was just talking about, the Democrats just look small because the message of Trump was big, and it was for all Americans. And a couple of times he talked a little bit about how we need to unite and get stuff done. But the Democrats did sit on their hands, even when they had emotional and very special guests like these.
Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter. Across Galveston Bay from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge. Moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. The very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens. It's called the Laken-Riley Act.
Yeah, let's not stand up and clap for detaining violent illegal aliens. No, we don't like that. Yeah, we don't like that. That's real bad. Ooh, no, that's racist. Yeah, exactly.
Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley.
It's embarrassing.
Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia, but last summer I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. My life was saved by a fraction of an inch, but some were not.
Dude, the millimeter miracle guy during the inauguration, they need to bring that guy on like every time before Trump goes as like to like get everybody hyped up. That was cinema. Yeah, that was so fucking good.
So lucky. Corey,
it's like an opening act. Yeah,
was a firefighter,
yeah.
A veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their two beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Our First Lady is joined by two impressive young women, very impressive.
And I think also, like what I said, you remember what I said earlier about how like the USA chant is like considered like a right-wing thing? I think that the fact that they're not standing up and applauding for like illegal aliens that are violent from other countries being detained, I think that that's like a really good example of why it is. That's the reason why it works. Is because like they're actively basically like an average person sees that and thinks, wow, they're siding against us. They profited from it? Yeah.
Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative, and Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
Oh, it's that kid. Oh, no, it's another one.
I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. DJ Daniel is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
He goes, what?
How wonderful is all of that?
Yeah.
So beautiful.
You would think the Democrats would clap for that, would stand up, at least be bipartisan on those issues.
Yeah, Brian, when my wife and I watched DJ Daniels hug the new director of the Secret Service, we both had tears coming down our faces, out of our eyes. It had to be like that, at least in half of the chamber that you were in last night.
Yeah, people went crazy, and I looked right over to the left and thought, okay, this is going to be the moment where people have to clap for
you
a
have to,
13-year-old,
right? Yeah.
for a kid that was supposed to be dead at 5, who's sitting there at 13, overcoming cancer. I'm like, how can you sit? But instead, they sat and looked indifferent.
At his new badge.
I mean, to me, there was a lack of organization. I mean, I don't think Hakeem Jeffries said everyone sit down and ignore.
This is dumb as fuck. It is. This is, by the way, this entire thing is an optics game. But they're playing the optics game by bringing in the signs and wearing all pink and doing all of that. So, like, let's not pretend like they aren't trying to play optics. They're obviously trying to play optics.
Kids with cancer. Really? You're ignoring kids with cancer? You're ignoring the survivors of a murdered teen? You can't clap for the naming of a park? It was astounding. I just think it was embarrassing, but it's also sad. I mean, you have a group of people that aren't going to do anything for 4 years, and you saw them walk away from that girls in sports bill 3 days ago. They just didn't show up, half of them. You know, I saw 14 walked
Look at that
out.
hug. That
yeah, they
hug.
said, look at that, 14 walked out during the
17
ceremony.
boycotted, 14 walked out. And Ted Cruz said, I have never seen such a disgraceful display as the Democrats put on. I've been to 13
I'm
states.
sure they can do a better job next time.
Of the union addresses.
Yeah.
I've been to every one. I've never missed one. Every time Joe Biden walked into the chamber, I stood up and I clapped. This is a radical party that is full of rage and hatred.
Somewhere down the line, the Democrats lost their way. I mean, the things that were discussed I understand. Some of them had political messages. But when you have a kid that survived cancer, they didn't even cheer. Maybe they did, but from the view of the camera.
Weren't there hecklers at Biden too? Yeah, and they were retarded too. It's annoying and disruptive, and I think it makes you look stupid. Like, that's just what I think, right? I mean, you look like a goofball. Like, yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever the fuck her name is, like, most people think that she's a moron. So, like, I wouldn't go and be like, oh, yeah, well, what about this person? Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
I did not see them cheer when they got the guy that killed 13 Americans in Afghanistan. And, I mean, it's just, I don't understand where they go from here. This was an opportunity to put the partisanship away and just focus on those stories. But they couldn't do it that night. And then I saw some of the response. We're going to be talking about it later on the show, and DJ is going to be on the show. Their explanation of why they did not clap, some in the mainstream media, is lunacy.
Yeah.
You didn't have to politicize that moment at all. But you got some of Nicole Wallace, who used to be a Republican, that just lost her way.
Rachel Maddow.
Rachel Maddow, that said that the reason why they didn't clap or the reason why they didn't celebrate is because the president has cut cancer funding. I mean, this is just nonsense.
Well, we just saw the little boy, the 13-year-old boy, officially become a Secret Service agent right after the kid who was announced that he was going to West Point. The brand new Secret Service agent came over and gave him a high five. It was absolutely terrific. But DJ and his family, his father, are going to be with us coming up in the 8 o'clock hour of Fox and Friends. And I was reading a little bit about him this morning. And
you're quick to call emotional arguments, but you aren't doing it on this thing. We have another person that's like that's another perceiver of unfairness. What do you think that I think? Let me ask you, what do you think that I think? I think this is an emotional argument. Should be called as such? Yeah, it is. It obviously is. That's why I said it was optics at the beginning. Nobody's debating that. Nobody even thought that. Think you're reacting right now but not commentating? No. I think that you're just malding instead of thinking. Of course it's an emotional argument. Of course they're doing that. That's the entire premise. Duh. Yes, obviously that's what's happening.
His story, and when he found out that he was going to die from the brain cancer, he made it his quest to try to get sworn into different police departments all across the country. And in fact, right there, he is wearing the uniform.
Well, I just want you guys to see how much the selective listening and like how bad these people's confirmation bias is with a lot of these topics, is that they're like, they hear something that they disagree with and their brain totally turns off. They don't listen, they don't hear, they're not thinking. All they're doing is operating on like this one-dimensional thinking pattern where it's like, let me try to misunderstand this in order to say that you're wrong.
Houston Police Department.
Yeah.
But now, of course, as he hugs Sean Curran, the director of the Secret Service, he is officially
and look at Sean's face. Look at Sean's. I mean, I've never seen the guy smile. He was one of the guys that tackled the president when bullets were flying, and it was just a beautiful moment. If you have a heart, you just
projecting what they want you to say.
Think about what he's been through. Probably chemo, radiation, surgeries.
Right. And half the chamber, the Democrats, sat on their hands when that happened right there. Do you have a heart? They sat on their hands when they recognized the family of Laken Riley, or and Brian Lawrence, you were talking about this when they announced the capture of the mastermind behind the 13 killed at the Kabul airport. They just sat there. I mean, these are wins. Not for Republicans, right? For America, for the world.
We did notice that, but the overall it was a common sense speech.
That's right.
It was a great speech. He talked about what he's going to do for America, and I think we just need to give him a chance. It's been 5 or 6 weeks. Come on, America. He also, the best line was what we played at the beginning of the show when he's talking about the border. The media and our friends in the Democratic Party kept saying we needed new legislation, but it turns out all that we really needed was a new president.
That was the line. That was the line of the night.
I agree. I think that was the best one.
All right, 14 minutes. Brian, you want to say something?
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi didn't stand for that either.
No.
That didn't surprise me.
It was a relaxing night for her. None of them really did much.
And Elizabeth Warren, she caught up on all of her texts. That was so rude.
She was called out.
Yeah, it was so incredibly wholesome that the Democrats disrespect a kid like that. Fuck them. Yeah, I guess so, right? They got vibe checked. It wasn't a policy debate or anything. Yeah, no, it definitely is. And this is one of the things that, this is also another really big problem that I think a lot of people have, is that a lot of people, and this is especially true with like political commentators, is that a lot of political commentators fixate so much on policy when policy isn't really a lot of the reasons why people make decisions. The strongest argument isn't an argument. And people like this don't understand how an average person thinks. And I think that's one of the reasons why they keep losing. That's it. And I know it might sound like it's a stupid thing to say, but it's true. No, it shows that they won't budge on policy that they've chosen. They're stuck in groupthink. Yeah, exactly. Did you win the bingo? We got a double win, actually, on the bingo. It was probably the first time that we had that happen in a long time. Usually, I always lose the bingos, but I got lucky this time, and we actually even got 2 of them. But we'll look at this one and maybe like one other thing, too. But this is the... let me see if I can find... Is this the clip? Yeah. Here we go. You almost got a quad bingo? I did. Let me see here. April 1st bingo? Yeah, well, I got rid of that one, actually. Elizabeth Warren got the funniest random call out of the night. Yes, she did. That was out of fucking nowhere. Let me see here. I'll read something here. But yeah, it's just a dumb message. Okay, let's move on. Anyway. Average person's retarded? They are. They absolutely are.
Some on the left wasting no time criticizing Trump's joint address.
This was nuts.
Refusing to even celebrate Trump honoring a child battling cancer.
This was crazy.
This is disgusting. The president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. I hope he has.
What I find to be funny is that they are the masterminds of emotional manipulation. And to be fair, I think this is emotional manipulation. It absolutely is. And what I find to be funny about it is that it takes one to know one. That's why they're mad. They're not mad that he's doing it. They're mad that it's working.
A long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he...
These are comments, by the way, about a 13-year-old child.
Has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
Yeah.
Fox News contributor Joe Concha joins us now. I mean, Joe, there were an hour and 40 minutes worth of political moments that Democrats could find a way to attack regarding this speech, but they chose to include the moment where a child with cancer who wants to be a police officer was honored. I mean, grasping at straws at best. What do you think?
13 years old, right, Carly? And as usual, the people paid 7 figures to provide, sober, objective analysis, are completely disconnected with the American public. CBS poll taken last night after the president's address, 76% approved of Trump's speech. Most viewers tuning in said it made them feel...
And I think this is also another good idea, right, is that if you want to beat people, you have to basically play on their level. And I think that that's effectively what he's doing, right? Is that, basically, I think that a lot of the implications and the emotional manipulation that is probably the strongest form of argumentation that a lot of like left-wing policies have, is like emotional, like some form of like emotional blackmail or manipulation. And so if you can co-opt that and take that and do that yourself, then you're going to be massively successful because you're beating them at their own game.
Full, proud, these are quotes, presidential, inspiring, and unifying. A big majority also called it entertaining. A CNN poll taken right after this address as well found nearly the same results. Nearly 7 in 10 viewers, 69%, had a positive reaction to the president's address last night.
No surprise.
And the big takeaway, besides how comfortable and confident President Trump looked, was the Democrat reaction during the address on the other side of the aisle and by the media, like on MSNBC afterwards. I mean, we saw Democrats in that chamber holding up what looked like bingo card signs, interrupting, heckling, even walking out. Who is advising this party? Are they taking their own cues from Rachel Maddow and Nicole Wallace over at MSNBC? Because it's not a good idea. If this is the plan, it's a hot mess in a dumpster fire. And it shows why the Democratic Party right now is polling lower than it ever has in its history. No message, no solutions, just complaining, whining, and even, as you mentioned, criticizing Trump for...
It's depressing, bro. It's like they're at a fucking funeral. Yeah, it's just depressing. This cringe, yeah.
Honoring a 13-year-old cancer victim, I don't know. It shows once again that rock bottom does have a basement.
Joe, isn't everything you just said emblematic of a wider Democratic Party problem? The fact that without policy, they resort to pettiness.
That's the thing, right? When you see 45 senators, Todd, for example, vote against a bill that says biological men should not compete against biological women in sports, and every single senator on the Democratic side votes against that bill, that shows, okay, we are the resistance, but what's your solution? To allow men in women's locker rooms? And you could go down the line. How do you not applaud when border crossings are at an all-time low? How do you not applaud all the things the president has done in his 6...
That's why chanting USA is considered anti-Democrat and right-wing. This is exactly it.
First 6 weeks. You could disagree with a couple things, sure, but the way they are acting right now is like petulant children, and the party's not going to get anywhere or win any elections anytime soon if this is the posture.
Yeah, and a real headline there that you mentioned, just want to reiterate it. 76% of Americans approved of the speech, according to a CBS poll. CNN at 69% had a positive reaction. Yeah. So that's a bipartisan reaction right there, according to those two polls, that a majority of Americans did like what the president had to say yesterday.
And to your point, Joe, he was feeling it 100%. Joe Concha, got to leave it there. Thank you, sir.
Yep. USA versus DEI? Well, I don't know. Liberals acting like children? Yeah, I think that, and this is the same thing that Republicans did when Biden was the president, too. And it was equally embarrassing. It was dumb. Like, everybody was like watching this. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like I was watching this and I thought it was fucking ridiculous. Like, they're acting like morons. Yeah, what's going on here? Not to that degree. Is it to that degree? I don't really care about that conversation. Like, I think that maybe it's worse, maybe it's better. It really depends. Either way, it doesn't look good, right? That's what really matters.